Hello, mates.
Hi, everybody.
That was very weird.
I know. I'm okay with that.
How's it going?
It's alright. How's it going for you?
It's alright.
Like we don't live together and see each other every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're not together 24/7.
No, of course not.
We have not been up to much, to be honest.
No. It's been quite a boring week for us, really, hasn't it?
Yeah. It's not even boring. It's just like, it's been, like, we went out to see some friends.
Yeah, just been kind of like normal day-to-day stuff, really, hasn't it?
There's been nothing really exciting.
No.
We had storms for 2 weekends in a row.
That was a pain.
Which fucked up my photo shoots.
Yeah, that was a real pain.
Although we did go and do an escape room.
And we sucked.
We did. We didn't make it out.
We would have been terrible pirates. It was a pirate-themed escape room, and we thought we were so clever until they opened another door into another room.
And it was like, there was like 8 minutes to go. It was just, fuck!
Yeah, so we were having none of that.
No, we took too long at the start trying to figure out where to start and stuff. We should have just got a hint.
Yeah, because you're allowed hints and we were too proud.
Yeah. Well, I kept saying, like, should we get a hint? And you were like, no, I'm going to fucking find this out myself.
Don't pin it all on me.
Well,
like it's all my fault.
It was all your fault.
No, I disagree entirely.
So that was our Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
That's what we did. Then we went out to see some friends and it's just been kind of really chill. Wow.
Yeah, let's try that again. It's been rather leisurely, hasn't it?
Yeah, like, obviously, as y'all know, next weekend we're going to the Haunted Castle.
Yeah, because it's your birthday next weekend.
It is. No, it's my birthday on Tuesday.
No, it's your birthday on Tuesday. I knew that.
Yeah. I don't know when this is going to come out, whether this will come out on Tuesday or Wednesday, but yeah, just know.
It's coming out at some point.
No, it'll come out Tuesday or Wednesday.
Well, yeah.
Depending on time.
Yeah.
We're recording this on Sunday, so
yeah.
We'll see.
We'll see.
So yeah, Haunted Castle next weekend. Then the weekend after that, photo shoots.
Yeah.
Then possibly, did the tattoo artist get back to you?
No, I don't think he did, but he will do.
Okay. So maybe at some point next month we're going to get some tattoos.
Yeah.
Of our hand fasting ribbon that we got married with. So we'll bring that in and we'll get that tattooed, which will be really nice. What else we got? Oh, we also relaunched our Patreon.
Yes, we did.
So let's talk about that for a second.
Okay, go on then.
So it's obviously no secret that we used to have a Patreon.
Yes, and while it was good, we found ourselves getting overwhelmed sometimes.
We were very overwhelmed. Like, we were offering, I think, too much.
Yeah, that was it. We were just offering too much.
Not that, like, you guys didn't deserve it or anything. Jesus Christ, no. But it was the fact that you were working weird hours. Yeah. My work was just so draining. Yeah. And to try and, to try and get the episodes out alone was tough at that time.
Difficult enough as it was.
So doing all the extra stuff for Patreon just burnt us out. Yeah. And that's what caused us to disappear for 6 months. Yeah. Basically. And so we've had a couple of people ask, where's it gone? Yeah. And stuff. So we reopened it, but not for the fact that we want money. We need money.
Like, I mean, I'm not going to say no to money.
Like, what kind of laugh was that?
That was a cough and a laugh at the same time.
But no, it's not that we want money. Like, it would go so far into helping. Like, there's just some stuff that, like, we kind of need, but we haven't been able to save up for. Like, we're moving house soon.
We are.
Within, like, by the end of summer, we should have...
Hopefully.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah,
by the end of summer, we should have our own house. And we really want a filming and recording space in the house. So your donations will go, like, so far into...
It'd stop this ratchet ass setup we've got now anyway.
Yeah, like, we just filmed a YouTube video before this. We have all the lighting and equipment and everything, but we have to tear it up. We have to put it up and then tear it down.
Yeah, and we've got, like, a 10-foot square space to do it all in.
Not even 10 foot. Like,
yeah, less than that. Probably about 7 foot.
Not even. Can you lie straight across there?
No, I cannot.
So it's definitely less than 6 foot.
Yeah.
Like, so it's not a lot of space that we have now. We're living with my mum while we try and save up for our own house. Mm-hmm. So we're kind of encroaching in her space a bit. She wants her space back. We want our space.
Yeah, basically.
So, yeah, it would just go so far into helping us, like, with maybe soundproofing the room, just making it look really nice for
getting
videos.
Some comfy chairs and
just
decent mic stand.
Yeah, and just things like that. So we're not offering as much as we used to. So we're not offering, like, any extra episodes or anything like that. So, yeah, we have a Discord server, which Craig has only just fucking found out about, apparently. And we have, like... for like the higher tiers, we have like stickers and some t-shirts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then like everything else is like you can get onto our Patreon feed where we'll do like Q&As. We'll keep you up to date on things that are going on like behind the scenes and in our personal lives and stuff like that. Just kind of making you feel like part of the process. Like that's the angle we wanted to come at this one.
Yeah,
with.
Rather than offering loads and loads of additional stuff, which takes a surprising amount of time to do.
Yeah, which time that we don't really have at the moment, and don't have the space to do it in, because we used to record in the bedroom, in our own bedroom, and now there's not enough space in there because
it's full of our shit.
There's 2 people. We have 2 people living in a tiny little room, and like a lot of our stuff has come into the spare room, which is why we don't have a lot of space to film or do anything in here. So I don't want this to come across like we're begging. We're not. There is no pressure to donate at all.
No.
You'll still get everything that you get now. There's nothing exclusive, really.
No.
So just, if you can, it would be very much appreciated.
It would very... I can't word today.
You can't, no.
I can't word today.
No.
No.
So yeah, it would just be very much appreciated, but we understand that like even €1 for some people is just not an option, which is...
It's fine. We understand.
Perfectly
We've
fine.
Been there.
We've all been there. So even just listening to us, sharing us with your family and friends, giving us a review, that kind of thing, those kind of things really help us as well. So
yeah, buddy.
We're not begging or anything. We're just putting it out there.
Yeah, basically.
So, shall we move on to know that actually happened?
Go on then.
All right. Do you want to go first?
Sure.
Go on then.
Okay.
What was that? You vile cretin.
I was just rebooting. So I'm
What is wrong with you today?
I can't word today. Mine is coming from Coast to Coast AM. It is... Australia's former Prime Minister reveals the suspected cause of the MH370 disappearance. Finally.
Well, suspected.
Suspected.
Like there's still nothing concrete.
No. But what it goes on to say that the former Prime Minister of Australia, who served during the mysterious disappearance of flight MH370 back in 2014, claims that Malaysian government told him they strongly suspected it was a murder-suicide perpetrated by the pilot.
Oh.
Oh dear. So...
Very nice.
Tony Abbott reportedly made the explosive revelation during an interview for a documentary about the case.
I'd be interested to watch that documentary.
I would be interested to watch that as well. When Mr. Abbott was speaking with filmmakers behind the project, he said, quote, my very clear understanding from the top levels of the Malaysian government is that from the very, very early on they thought it was a murder-suicide by the pilot. He was unwilling to specify who exactly said, but... He stressed that, I want to be absolutely crystal clear, it was understood at the highest levels that it was almost certainly murder-suicide by the pilot, a mass murder-suicide by the pilot. So, that's what the...
Oh, wow!
That's what the former Australian Prime Minister thinks. The Malaysian government have straight up denied that.
Of course they have.
They don't, they've just been like, nah, we didn't say nothing, mate.
I don't know whether to believe that, to be honest.
I don't know either, like, it's been so long now and they've just found so little out about it. That it's hard. You could throw any sort of theory around, and then it could stick. It could not stick. Like, but there was a murder-suicide by a pilot some years ago. I think it was a German pilot, and he crashed a plane full of people into a mountain. I think that's maybe where they got the idea from.
Yeah.
But whether this actually happened for MH370 or not, I don't know.
No one knows.
No one knows. It just seemed to
disappear
over the ocean.
Did they ever find anything about it?
I don't know. I think they found little bits of the plane, but I don't think they found anything concrete. I don't think they found the recorders or anything.
The black boxes?
Yeah.
Oof. I'd hate to fucking find them, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't think they found them. But I'm not sure, though. Like, from what I remember about it, it was miles and miles off course when it went down.
Yeah.
So, like, it was in a totally different ocean or something.
Aliens.
Alien? Do you reckon aliens?
Well, from, like, not knowing too much about it, like, obviously, like, I knew it went down and stuff, like, and I knew that it, like, completely disappeared, but, like, just from hearing, like, things like that, like, yeah, I'd say aliens.
Aliens confirmed.
That's it, yeah. My tablet's being very slow today.
It's having a slow day, is it?
Yeah.
I can relate.
You are also having a slow day.
I'm having a very slow day today. I cannot word today at all.
Okay, so mine also comes from Coast to Coast, and the headline reads, Colorado cops respond to report of demonic sounds heard at McDonald's.
McDonald's?
Yeah.
I mean, having eaten some of their food sometimes, I can understand a certain type of demonic sound in the bathroom, but nothing really...
Get fucked. You like their fucking burgers.
I like their breakfasts.
Yeah.
Their breakfasts are on point, but I'm not so keen on the rest of it.
It says, in a strange case out of Colorado, police officers working an overnight shift were dispatched to a fast food restaurant after workers called with concerns about hearing mysterious and unsettling sounds. So it came around 3:30 in the morning.
Of course it did.
Yeah.
Of course it did.
The devil hour.
What better time to receive a phone call about demonic noises than 3:30 in the morning?
Employees at the establishment claimed that they had heard a woman screaming and making demonic sounds.
Oh.
That sounds like meth to me, to be honest.
Yeah, not even once. Not even once.
So Captain Tom Rummel recounted in a tweet later that morning, the workers said that this unseen individual was speaking in a strange language and barking.
Barking?
Barking.
Oh.
The crew at the restaurant said that they wouldn't be going back outside their building until after the sun came up. But when the police arrived, there was nothing there, like no sounds, no nothing.
No pentagrams scorched into the ground, or no smell of sulphur, or nothing like that.
Nah, nothing.
That is disappointing.
Nothing crazy.
You just don't get demonic possessions like you used to do.
No, but like, to be honest, it's a bit... I don't know, like, we're like making fun of them, but like, if we heard something like that...
Oh, I'd be straight out of there.
But I wouldn't call the cops. Like,
No, I don't think I'd call the police.
No, I'd be like...
Well, this is how I die.
Yeah, like be running in there with like holy water and crosses and just be like, the power of Christ compels you. Like in that scene from This Is the End.
Yeah. Yeah.
Does it, Jay? Does it really? Shall we move on to the episode?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know how long this one will be.
It could be quite a long one. I have like 5 pages with waffle, so...
I have 6. We will see.
Get comfy.
Get comfy. This one is one that you've wanted to do for quite a long time.
Yeah, this is all my fault, this.
So, this is MKUltra.
It is. Not the song.
There's a song called MKUltra?
Yeah, Muse did it. It's on the Resistance album.
Fucking is, now.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
So, like, I want to say, like, before we start going into this was the hardest we've ever had to research.
Oh my god, it was... I think this is what's given me such a headache today.
Like, this was the most we've ever had to dig for information.
Yeah.
And it's not because it wasn't there.
Oh no, it was there. It was just in such, like, redacted form that it's hard to get anything out of it.
So difficult. And, like, obviously, we have an hour to go through this.
Yeah.
So we're glossing over some stuff.
Yeah.
Some stuff that we...
Quite a lot of stuff, really.
Yeah. If you do want to go and read, like, all the documents and everything like that, you can... What was that website?
Black Vault.
Black Vault.
Yep.
We'll leave the link in the show notes.
Yeah, it's a very, very good archive. I used it a lot doing this research. Yeah. So, MKUltra. You'd think that a secretive government organisation putting suspected people through hell to unlock the secrets of their mind would be science fiction, wouldn't you? Like, full-on James Bond shit.
You'd think so, wouldn't you?
You'd think so, but no. No, that was real. That happened.
Cool.
Yeah. No, you'd think so, but sadly it was real, 100% legitimate, and pretty damn terrifying.
Well, yeah, like, they say, like, you know, the only thing you have proper control over is you and what's in your mind.
Yeah, so imagine then...
having that taken away from you.
You can have your mind essentially hacked and made to do something that you wouldn't normally do.
Yeah.
So, it's pretty gross.
It's pretty gross.
It's pretty gross. So,
MKUltra, pretty gross.
Pretty gross. MKUltra, for those of you who don't know, it was the CIA mind control program between the 50s and the 70s. And yeah, they were doing some pretty heinous stuff, and we're going to talk about the sort of history behind it now. So, what we know as MKUltra and the CIA mind control projects actually started in 1921 in the innocent-sounding Tavistock Clinic in the UK.
Oh, in the UK?
Yep.
I was fully sure you were going to say Germany.
No, not yet. Give me time, not yet. No, that was where it was an experimental clinic where they were starting to try and treat shell shock, or as we know it, post-traumatic stress disorder.
PTSD. Is that with soldiers and
shit?
Yeah,
from the First World War. They were given like experimental drugs and treatments and things like that, and they were starting to do the first sort of initial research into sort of the deeper workings of people's minds and stuff.
So really, it was a good thing.
In the beginning, yeah.
Yeah.
In the beginning, like a lot of these things are, it started out with reasonably good intentions. Reasonably, like, I can't find much on the treatment of Tavistock, but I can imagine it was things like nasty drugs and electroshock therapy and that kind of thing, just because mental health care was in its infancy.
There was no mental health
Well, there
care.
wasn't. Like, they just thought people who were shell-shocked were suffering from, like, cowardice and things, so...
Yeah.
Like, they'd go around shooting people with shell shock who were just fully shut down on the front line, thinking they were cowards.
Fuck's sake.
So, like, there was just no understanding of PTSD or any sort of mental health, really. Then it gets sent to Germany, basically. The mantle was taken up by the Nazi Party, unfortunately, who had much worse intentions. In 1943, in the, I'm going to butcher this pronunciation, Dachau, I think.
Show me?
Dachau.
Yeah, I think so.
Dachau, the Dachau and Auschwitz concentration camps. The Nazi army doctors were administering things like barbiturates, morphine, and mescaline for, quote, interrogation purposes.
Right.
Now, mescaline's an interesting one. It's a psychoactive drug that's derived from certain types of cactus, like found in North America and Mexico.
So not Germany?
No.
So how did they get them?
Probably synthesized it. I think a German had actually synthesized it in, like, the 1890s or something.
Okay.
This stuff's heavily psychoactive, and given an enough dose, it will literally melt your brain.
Nice.
Like, well, not liquid coming out your ears, but it'll
turn you into a vegetable.
It'll destroy your psyche. Like, it's not good stuff. The key man in this operation was a Dr. Kurt Plotner. I think I'm pronouncing that right. He was a physician in the SS, and the less said about some of the other things he's done, the better. Basically, he was one of those guys.
Well, the SS were fucking... I was going to say the C word, but apparently people don't like that.
Yeah, no, the SS weren't great, and he was one of the main not great people.
So he was, like, high up in the SS?
He did a lot of bad things.
Was he just following orders?
Well, In this context, though, he was working on a project to create a reliable truth serum. After, quote, research on 30 prisoners, which is probably more like torture, he concluded that it was too unreliable to be a truth drug. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't.
What was that?
Mescaline.
Okay.
And according to Walter Neff, a prisoner's nurse involved with the experiments at Dachau, the goal was to eliminate the will of the person examined.
That's fucked up in itself.
Yeah, that's horrible.
Yeah. I'm not...
Yeah, wait.
Like, this came from the Nazis, so I'm not shocked, but I am shocked.
Yeah. This actually got the attention of the US intelligence service, and not for the reason that you'd like to think. And as part of Operation Paperclip, which was the American operation to rescue and employ Nazi scientists, Plotner was given a new identity and was never prosecuted for what he did at Dachau or Auschwitz, even though France actually asked for it.
So France wanted this guy to go down.
When France wanted this guy to be tried for war crimes, and the Americans were like, sorry, don't know where he is. The Russians must have him.
So they took him, gave him a new identity, and then was turned around to France and was like, yeah, no, sorry, someone else took him, like, we don't have him.
Yeah.
And he went on to live, like, a fairly
I think he actually moved back to West Germany under the name Schmidt, I believe.
You just love to fucking just get your hands on him, wouldn't you? Like, I'm not a violent... Well...
I'm not a violent person, but...
Give me vodka and I'm violent.
Yeah, but, that's the truth.
But, like, it's just the shit these people have done, and to literally get away with murder.
They literally got away with it. The people like him, because they were scientists, they got away with it. Like, the Americans employed him, and the CIA employed him. And then when he was finished with the CIA, went on to live a normal life. He was never faced justice. He was never tried.
That's disgusting.
For what he did and what people under him did. Like, but anyway, we could talk about Nazi war crimes all day, but we're talking about MKUltra.
And the CIA.
So
I swear to God, one of these days we're going to get fucking Men in Black in our front drive with the zapper, and, like, you'll never hear from us again. No. So if we disappear, just know why. Just know the CIA did it.
So what started MKUltra was a different project altogether. It was called Project Bluebird, and it was like the first generation of mind control research. This is where we start running into problems with the research, because there are documents around that talk about Project Bluebird and later Project Artichoke, but they are so heavily redacted.
It's like redacted,
redacted, at time redacted.
So, like, it's all fucking...
contextless. They could be talking about anything.
Like, it's all the key... You form a sentence, you have adjectives, you have nouns, and you've pronouns, is it?
Yeah.
The pronouns are there, but everything else that makes a sentence is not.
It's gone. Like, and not even that, there were entire pages from these reports just totally blacked out.
Yeah.
Like, so...
And for something that's meant to be declassified.
Yeah. Well,
there you go.
But what was declassified was the operational budget for Project Bluebird. In 1950, it had a budget of $65,000, which, adjusting for inflation today, is $707,000.
So $750,000, basically.
Yeah, near enough $750,000. And it's like all projects, it started with a problem. And in this case it was, can the agency use sleep inducement and hypnotic techniques to do the following? And this is a quote from the actual report. Can accurate information be obtained from willing or unwilling individuals? Can agency personnel or persons of interest to this agency be conditioned to prevent any outside power from obtaining information from them by any known means? Can we obtain control of future activities, both physical and mental, of any given individual, willing or unwilling, by the application of sleep inducement and hypnotic techniques? Can we prevent any outside power from gaining control of future activities, physical and mental, of agency personnel by any known means?
Right.
So basically they're after trying to control people.
That entire fucking quote was basically saying, we're piles of shit, we want to control people.
Yeah, basically that whole problem is, how can we control people without them realising they're being controlled?
What's Mancunian?
The Manchurian Candidate.
Yeah.
That was a book, it was a novel written, and it was along the very same lines as MKUltra.
Yeah.
Where a US soldier, I think, was conditioned to become an assassin.
Which is basically what these people are trying to do.
Basically, they were copying the Manchurian Candidate. To do this, they needed an expert in the field, someone who had considerable experience in this area and would be willing to assist them, because obviously they had to have like in-depth knowledge of hypnotic techniques and things like that. They had to be experienced. They had to have other certain qualities, like a very low ethical compass. There was a slight problem, though, as experts in this area were very far and few between, especially ones they could recruit easily.
Yeah.
So, to help with this, a recommendation was made to the Army Surgeon General to search through the Nuremberg trials papers for information on different drugs and techniques.
So what's the Nuremberg trials?
The Nuremberg trials were the trials of Nazi officers and political leaders after the Second World War. They were tried for war crimes.
Right.
And about 11 of them were executed.
And what were they trying to do?
They were searching through documents related to what some of these people had done for, like, information on techniques and people of interest.
Oh, dirty bastards!
Yep.
Oh, that's dirty.
So, there you go. Either way, they found the man. I can't tell you who he is because everything was blacked out.
That's the thing. All the key people are blacked out.
Yeah, but I can quote from the released papers. Through internal agency channels, Bluebird was given the names of Redacted, an individual of redacted extraction and not a citizen of the United States who had been given certain operational security clearance. Redacted was reported to have done considerable work in sleep inducement and hypnotic techniques, and to have had an unusual and interesting general background. Redacted was also reported as being reliable, trustworthy, and a known anti-communist.
Oh my god, have you ever read such a heap of fucking shit?
Yeah. He was given clearance and began his work in earnest, basically, because he was into this kind of thing.
Yeah.
It was noted, though, that there were some problems, in quote marks, that needed actual experimentation, and there was a list of 21 sort of scenarios that he felt he needed to do a proper, true field test on.
Oh, I don't think I want to hear these.
You don't, but I'm only going to include the ones that were the most gross. So, this is all quote as well. Can we, in a matter of an hour, 2 hours, 1 day, etc., induce a hypnotic condition into which an unwilling subject to such an extent that he will perform an act for our benefit?
Dirty!
Can we create by post-hypnotic control an action contrary to an individual's basic moral principles? Oh. Can we seize a subject and in the space of an hour or two by post-hypnotic control have him crash an aeroplane, wreck a train, etc.?
Fucking hell.
Can we use sleep inducement and hypnotic control to combat fatigue and produce extreme mental effort? Basically super soldiers. Can we guarantee total amnesia under all conditions? Can we alter a person's personality and how long will it hold? I'd love to tell you more about it, but Project Bluebird is very difficult to glean any information about because everything is either so badly photocopied that you can't read it, or it's redacted.
Like, I don't believe this is declassified enough to be classed as declassified.
No. In 1951, Project Artichoke was given a new... Project Artichoke, I'm sorry, I've just ruined it. Project Bluebird was renamed Project Artichoke, and its goals were shifted. It was now a case of, can we get control of an individual to the point where he will do our bidding against his will and even against fundamental laws of nature such as self-preservation?
So basically, will someone destroy themselves
for our benefit? Later, this turned to, can an individual of redacted descent be made to perform an act of attempted assassination involuntary under the influence of artichoke?
Obviously I knew some of this, but we do our research separately.
Yeah.
So, how we do it is we pinpoint, the key points of whatever we're talking about. And then we split it up and we each take one. So obviously I knew a little bit about this, but I didn't know that much, and I'm actually fucking shocked.
Yeah, it's horrible. And the thing is as well, the actual techniques that Bluebird was doing, I couldn't find anything on. All it was sleep induction and hypnotic effects. I'm guessing it was drugs and things that was putting people under, and then suggestion.
That's not to say they're not there. Maybe if, you dig.
If you really dig.
Really dig.
Really dig.
And
if it's not redacted.
Yeah.
So Artichoke's methods were very similar to Bluebird's, but only more intense. So there was hypnosis, but there was other ways of controlling, entering people into a controlled amnesia.
Yeah.
Drugs were used, and forced drug withdrawal were used.
What's that?
So, if you... when I was on painkillers, and I had to go through drug withdrawal.
Oh, shit, yeah.
Forcing people to then get on drugs and then come off drugs again.
Or just picking up some addicts.
Yeah, and forcing them to come off drugs.
That's dirty. Withdrawals are not...
No.
They're not fun.
Then there was magnetic field manipulation, sound waves, sleep deprivation, and solitary confinement.
Solitary confinement is fucked up.
Yeah, I'm not talking a couple of hours at a time either. You'd be probably alone for days. Horrible stuff. An Artichoke document dated the 7th of January 1953 describes the experimental creation of a multiple personality in two 19-year-old girls by the CIA. H is used for shorthand for hypnotic control. These subjects have clearly demonstrated that they can pass from a fully awake state to a deep H-controlled state via the telephone, via some very subtle signal that cannot be detected by other persons in the room and without the other individuals being able to note the change. It has been clearly shown that individuals can be induced into H by telephone by receiving written matter or by the use of code, signal or words. Control of these hypnotized can be passed from one individual to the other without great difficulty. It has also been shown by experimentation that these girls they can act as unwilling couriers for information purposes, and that can be conditioned to a point where they believe the change of identity on their part, even on a polygraph.
Right.
So what they've done there is that they've managed to implant these sort of controls, and they can sort of trigger them by over the phone by a tone.
Yeah, that's an actual thing. Do you know when you go to these hypnosis shows and stuff like that, where they make people act like a monkey or go to sleep, and all they have to do is snap their fingers or something like that. That's the thing. That's the thing,
but they're doing it over the phone by a long distance. Yeah. It's not only by phone; it's by written words or codes or signals or things like that.
So they're deep into it. This isn't some circus show.
No, this is real, and it's to the point where if they're on a polygraph, they believe that they're a different personality altogether.
Fucking hell.
And polygraphs have I think it's a 96% accuracy rating, something
they're
like that.
They're not accurate enough to be able to be used in court or anything like that.
No, but they're very accurate.
Yeah.
So, and what the goal of this, I think, was to show that people can act as couriers. That you could implant information in someone's mind. They wouldn't, waking, they'd have no access to it.
Yeah.
Send them somewhere, someone who knows they're there would just say the code word, and they'd go into this hypnotic state and
reel off all the information.
Yeah.
Oh my god. So, dirty.
Another Artichoke experiment had a young woman given a totally new identity, to the point where she would deny it to the point of hysteria. She believed this new identity was her, and her old identity was, she denied it emphatically.
Yeah.
Once the new identity was kind of removed and she'd gone back to herself, she had no idea who the other identity was.
Right.
And she even said, that's a pseudonym if I ever heard one. But not 10, 15 minutes before, she was saying, she was the pseudonym.
Fucking
and she had no memory of it.
Of course.
But perhaps the most chilling was an experiment where a hypnotised woman was activated, in quotes, over a phone, and once activated, she then followed instructions planted in her mind, and these instructions were to plant a fake bomb in an office and activate it.
Fucking hell. So she actually did that?
Yeah. Obviously it was a fake because it was a test, but she did everything that she should have done.
But it's still possible.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not they were just going to leave it at a test. Obviously, they were going to do something.
Yeah. So, obviously, this kind of experimentation left a lot of, I feel inhuman saying this, but burnt out subjects.
Yeah.
That had enough of testing. That's a low loader. And so there was a question of what to do with the subjects afterwards.
Yeah.
Several members liked the idea of forced lobotomies.
That's disgusting.
But this never happened due to concerns over negative publicity.
I hate lobotomies. Even the click and I'll freak out.
Yeah, it's not nice. Artichoke documents prove that hypnotic couriers functioned effectively in real-life simulations conducted by the CIA in the early 1950s. I can't say much more about it because the actual operations are classified.
So what does that mean?
That means it's all redacted.
Fucking hell.
Basically.
Right.
So there was actual live operations, like Artichoke was used in various parts of the world.
In real life?
Yeah.
Not as testing?
No, but those documents are redacted.
Redacted.
Like I say, with exactly the same as Bluebird, and as you can imagine, it's very hard to find information and concrete witness accounts because there just aren't any.
Yeah.
It's all heavily redacted or just not there. I think I read that out of all the documents, there was only like a fraction still around that there was actually declassified. And I read one that was on the CIA website as like a document that's been released and everything about it. And all it is just a list of all the files that they had. There's no useful information there. It just says that there was like so much data on it, but not what the data was.
That's disgusting.
It's almost like you're being taunted.
This isn't declassified at all.
No, of course it isn't. In 1953, things were again reorganised, and they were reorganised into what we know now as MKUltra.
Yeah. Oh, it's me now.
It's you.
Okay, so the way we've done this is I'm taking what happened in America and Craig's taking what happened in Canada. So it's no secret that America kind of bore the brunt of MKUltra.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of the majority of its experiments and everything like that went on in America. There was over 150 subprojects of MKUltra.
Yeah.
So a fucking lot.
Oh yeah, they were into everything.
And one of the most notorious is Operation Midnight Climax.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly as shady as it sounds. So in 1943, Swiss chemist Albert Hofmann, he developed a drug called LSD.
Yeah.
Which now is a party drug.
Yeah.
Back then, not so much.
No.
So Sidney Gottlieb, yeah?
Yeah.
He persuaded CIA official Robert Helms that the agency should investigate it as a spy tool. Richard Helms placed the project, the Operation Midnight Climax, under the control of Narcotics Bureau officer George Hunter White, and he took on an alias of Morgan Hall.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone knew him as Morgan Hall.
Hall.
So, Operation Midnight Climax. In this subproject, several brothels were opened around the San Francisco, New York, and Marin area.
Yeah.
These brothels were set up in CIA safe houses, and sex workers on the CIA payroll were used as bait. The sex workers were paid about $100 a night, which is the equivalent to almost $1,000 today. So $1,000 a night,
that's pretty good.
They were also guaranteed immunity from police harassment, and basically they were untouchable by authorities. They couldn't be arrested for being sex workers or anything like that. So the sex workers would lure unsuspecting victims to these safe houses and spike them with LSD.
Nice.
So you'd think they were having a good time, like a party, but they weren't.
No one's having a party.
No. All this was done while the CIA were watching from a kind of like a one-way mirror.
Yeah.
They were sipping martinis while sitting on a portable toilet.
Nice.
Yeah. I thought that was a joke when I first read it, but it's actually everywhere.
That happened.
So the reason this was done was to see whether LSD could be used to get information out of unsuspecting men. And they kind of toyed with the sex blackmail thing as well. What they found was that before sex, men weren't interested in talking or anything like that. You know, obviously like tunnel vision, sex.
Yeah.
But after sex, when they kind of expected the women to go away and, flee, it kind of caught them off guard when they wanted to stay a bit longer. Yeah. So that's when they started to talk and let everything out.
Sort of say everything.
Yeah. So not long after the success of these pads, as the CIA workers called it, the CIA expanded their range and began drugging people in bars, restaurants. I think they also like to frequent like prisons, psychiatric hospitals, stuff like that as well. Psychiatric hospitals and prisons, they were kind of like a different ball game. They liked drugging people that couldn't fight back.
Yeah, basically.
which is disgusting.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, needless to say, all this was done without their consent. No one fucking knew a thing.
Naturally.
And because there's no follow-up with these people who are drugged, there's not a lot of information about the people who were drugged, like what happened. But one guy remembers it vividly, and he actually came out and did an interview about it in 2012 with San Francisco Weekly newspaper. So this was in 2012. And his name was Wayne Ritchie. On December 20th in 1957, he was out with some of his federal work colleagues at the US Post Office building. Mm-hmm. It was their Christmas party. He recalls drinking bourbon and kind of soda all night, but suddenly the room started to spin and he felt off. So he was like, sorry, excuse me.
Yeah, time to leave.
Need to leave. So he excused himself and he went upstairs to his office and drank some water. And he began feeling incredibly paranoid that some colleagues didn't like him and how the whole world was out to get him. Like, if you've ever done drugs, you'll know this feeling. It's a horrible feeling. You can even get it from like marijuana and cannabis and stuff if you partake and it takes to you the wrong way. Like, but you can get that from alcohol as well. Like, it's not exclusive to party drugs or anything like that. But obviously, like, mixing the two is not good.
No, it's not a very good idea.
So that would explain quite a bit here as well. And he said he felt very enclosed and he had to escape, so he went home to his girlfriend and thought she would comfort him. But that didn't happen, and they ended up getting into an argument because she wanted to go back to New York. Mm-hmm. So he kind of leaves his apartment in like in a mood, basically. And he hits up a few more bars, drinking some more bourbon. Then he returns to his office in the post office building and retrieved 2 service revolvers from his locker.
Right.
He says, quote, I decided if they wanted to get rid of me, I'll help them. I'll just go out and get my guns from my office and hold up a bar. I thought, I can get enough money to get my girlfriend an airline ticket back to New York and I'll turn myself in. Yeah. But he was unsuccessful. He walked into a bar, ordered a drink, downed the drink, and then turned his revolver onto the bartender and told her to give him money. Mm-hmm. He was quickly knocked out by a patron. Yeah. Like, because obviously, like, there was no pre-planning of this. Like,
no, he just walked into a bar and tried to hold him up.
Like, he was off his face. He didn't know what he was doing. So he got knocked out and he was surrounded by police when he woke up. The judge went easy on him and Ritchie avoided prison. He resigned from the Marshal's service, pleaded guilty to attempted armed robbery, paid a $500 fine and was sentenced to 5 years probation. Yeah. So another unsuspecting victim was singer-songwriter Ruth Kelly. It said that she rejected White's advances, so White kind of wanted to, get with her and stuff. And she was like, no. Mm-hmm. So she was like, she turned him down, basically. Yeah. And he drugged her before she went on stage to do her thing. Yeah. She managed to finish her set before admitting herself to hospital. Once the drugs wore off, she was okay. Yeah. And now this one is a bit fucked up. So there's a possible, I say this with emphasis. Yeah. Possible link between MKUltra and the awful rape and murder of a 3-year-old girl. Right. So 3-year-old Sherry Jo Horton went missing and a search party was formed. They found a dazed and shirtless Jimmy Shaver covered in blood. The search party walked him to the edge of the road. He couldn't tell officers where he was or how he got there or what he had been doing. He had no memory of anything. It was like he hit his head and had amnesia, that kind of thing.
Just totally forgotten everything.
Once Sherry Jo Horton's body was found, he was arrested. Jimmy Shaver was at the same bar Horton had been abducted from, but he'd left with a friend. Right. So, alibi. Yeah. The friend told police that neither of them were drunk, though Shaver seemed a bit off. Yeah. And he might have been high on something. But before police could take Shaver to the county jail, a constable from another precinct arrived with orders from military police to assume custody of him.
Wow. Shady.
Investigators interrogated Shaver through the morning. When his wife came to visit, he didn't recognise her. Didn't know who she was. He gave his first statement at 10:30 a.m. the next day, adamant that another man was responsible. Yeah. He could even tell you exactly what this man looked like. After the Air Force Marshal returned to the jailhouse, however, Shaver signed a second statement taking full responsibility. Huh. So he quickly turned his story around. Though he still didn't remember anything, he simply said he must have done it. Yeah. 2 months later in September, Shaver's memories still hadn't returned. The commander of the base hospital, Colonel Robert S. Bray, ordered a psychiatric evaluation to be performed by Dr. Louis Joylan West. It's a fucking mouthful.
That is a mouthful.
The head of psychiatric services at the air base. It fell to West to kind of decide if Shaver had been legally sane at the time of the murder. Shaver spent the next 2 weeks with West.
Yeah.
At the trial, West, he hardly fucking tried to exonerate him.
Yeah.
He barely tried. Minimal effort. And Shaver was found guilty, though he appealed it, and court later ruled that it had been an unfair trial, but he was convicted again in the retrial.
Right.
So in 1958, on his 33rd birthday, he was executed by the electric chair.
Nice.
And to the second he died, he kept saying he was innocent.
Yeah.
According to newly surfaced papers from West's archives, the psychiatrist had some of the clearest, most nefarious ties of any scientist to the CIA's Project MKUltra.
Nice.
West's files, especially his correspondences with CIA's longtime poisons expert, Sidney Gottlieb.
Oh, him again.
So they were really close.
Yeah.
Now, I don't want it to come across like I'm saying this guy's innocent.
Yeah.
There is a very high possibility that he actually did everything, but we need to explore the possibility that he wasn't as well.
Yeah. Or that he was under the influence of MKUltra while he did it.
Yeah.
As to do something that would be against his own moral interests.
Yeah, like obviously we're talking about the rape and murder of a 3-year-old girl.
Which clearly happened, but we're
not saying he's innocent, but we're also not we're not like dismissing the possibility that it was a project of MKUltra.
Yeah, basically.
So you're probably wondering how these people were chosen, and there is no reason. Sometimes White and his wife would host dinner parties, and then they would drug their unsuspecting guests.
Nice.
So here, do you want some gravy? It's laced with LSD.
LSD potatoes.
Other times it would be the sex workers' choice who they would bring back. They'd just go into the bar,
pick someone and
pick some guys up like they usually would, and other times it's simply because your path crossed with White and his men, just like Ruth Kelly.
Yeah.
White enjoyed this a little too much.
Oh dear.
In 1971, he wrote a letter to Gottlieb, and it says, quote, "Of course, I was a very minor missionary, actually a heretic, but I toiled wholeheartedly in the vineyards because it was fun. Where else could a red-blooded American boy lie, kill and cheat, steal, deceive, rape and pillage with the sanction and blessing of the All-Highest? Pretty good stuff, brother." End quote.
Fucking hell, that's quite haunting.
Yep. So, that was Operation Midnight Climax. One of the more bizarre subprojects of MKUltra was MK Search, later renamed to MK Often. Real fucking original with their names.
Yeah.
So MK Search began in 1966. There is very little documentation on this, probably with good reason. It was originally started to study the effects of other drugs like heroin, barbiturates, morphine, cocaine, alcohol on humans and animals.
Right.
So animals are included in this one as well. Much like Operation Midnight Climax, but Midnight Climax was just with LSD.
Yeah.
They wanted to explore
everything.
But with the very little research and everything that's available of this, some historians and other researchers have studied it. Yeah. And they've come to a conclusion that's a bit more bizarre. The agents in charge of MK Search reportedly met with, consulted, studied, or employed, this is quotes now, numerous mystics and occultists, including fortune tellers, palm readers, clairvoyants, astrologists, mediums, psychics, practitioners of voodoo and witchcraft, black magicians, demonologists, Satan, and even a Monsignor in charge of exorcisms for the Catholic Archdiocese of New York.
Well, did you just say they reached out and contacted Satan then?
Satanists.
Sorry.
Satanists.
I was going to say, I was very impressed if the CIA had been in touch with Satan.
But what this shows is they were supposedly studying the possibility of using magic as a weapon of war.
I think at this stage they were just after using anything as a weapon that they possibly could.
So they were exploring, but like obviously you look at the average person, you talk to the average person, do you believe in magic? No, that is what they'll say.
Yeah.
The CIA actually believed in magic enough to do an entire project on using it for war.
It's crazy.
They wanted psychics to tell the future on the outcome of the war, palm readers for soldiers to see if they were any good, and witches to influence the outcome of war, supposedly.
Like, that's really off-the-wall stuff there. You know, a fully funded government agencies, it seems like they were just throwing anything at a wall and seeing what would stick.
Yeah.
Basically.
But what is the most disturbing thing I have read and heard throughout this entire thing is journalist and researcher Alex Constantine. He came up with this. He studied all the documents available and he came up with this theory. He claimed that the CIA were looking into starting a religious cult like that of Jonestown to study
the
mind control aspect of religion and cult leaders.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
That's fucked up.
That is fucked up. And sadly, America, it wasn't just an American problem.
No.
There was a lot of it in Canada as well. The CIA had their tentacles absolutely spread everywhere. One place in particular that bore the brunt of the CIA's craziness was the Allen Memorial Institute in Montreal, Canada. This particular arm of the MKUltra project became known as the Montreal Experiments.
Right.
And it started with a Scottish man called Donald Ewan Cameron.
Fuck the Scottish.
Oof!
Sorry. I'm sorry.
He was a very well-respected psychiatrist who had studied and worked around Europe and North America through the 20s and 30s until in 1943 he was invited to Montreal to become the first director of the then brand new Allen Memorial Institute.
Right.
So he was the man, basically.
Yeah.
This was a brand new facility. It was like a model facility in mental health care at the time. Fully open door policy, which is important later.
Okay.
But, you know, it was the top of its game at the time.
Yeah.
He was that well regarded that he was giving psychiatric analysis of high-ranking Nazi officials during the Nuremberg trials. I think he actually gave Rudolf Hess's analysis.
Okay.
So, yeah, he was up there. He was very, very well respected and regarded.
For now.
The work with MKUltra actually began as an attempt to try and cure schizophrenia.
Okay, that's not bad.
Wait.
Oh.
He specifically had hoped to reprogram, in quotes, patients' mind by erasing selected thoughts or memories. Now, the broader term for this treatment was something called psychic driving. I'll explain what psychic driving is in a minute, but hundreds of patients signed up for this treatment as the Institute had like an open door policy, so people could just walk in and get treatment. What actually happened to these people was not so much treatment as more psychological torture.
Okay.
It started with them being put in a drug-induced coma, sometimes for days, sometimes for weeks. They were then, air quotes, de-patterned, using an electroshock treatment of 150 volts for 6 seconds, 2 to 3 times a day. The goal here is to, quote, put them in a vegetative state from which they would recover to a more healthy state of mind.
Right.
So, I don't know if anyone in America has ever stuck their fingers in a wall outlet, but they're 110 volts.
Right.
So 150 volts hurts.
Yeah.
But I mean, they were obviously asleep at the time.
That doesn't make it any fucking better.
But it doesn't make it any better, and the effect that direct electricity like that has on your brain is...
Oh, it was like in the temples?
Oh yeah, it was in the temples.
Oh no!
It was electroshock therapy, but the voltage was so much higher and so much more frequent that...
I don't like that.
Yeah, no, neither did the people it happened to.
I can fucking imagine.
This was done without any kind of prior consent, like I say.
Without?
It was done without any prior consent because the patient was in a coma. After this, they were presumably woken up and forcibly administered high doses of LSD and subjected to 16-hour-long recordings of negative messages for 10 days straight.
That's horrible.
Followed by 10 days of positive messages. One person could be forced to listen to the same message 500,000 times in a session.
That's horrible. Oh my god.
It drives me mad hearing the same thing 4 times in one day, never mind.
I would go fucking nuts.
So that's psychic driving, basically. It was thought to be able to reboot the brain and cure many mental illnesses, but it was also found that because of everything that they were doing, that the people were open to suggestion a lot more. Like, you could implant something in the messages in their mind, send them on the way, and then obviously trigger again, and it would open them up. The problem was that the side effects, as you can imagine, were horrific. Many patients had permanent amnesia, and they'd lose entire memories of their family.
Right.
So, others, like a unfortunate woman called Gail Kastner, she was 19 at the time, left the institute in a total childlike state to the point where she spoke like a baby and had to relearn to walk and use the toilet.
Oh my god.
Because they corrupted her brain so much.
From the electroshock?
From the electroshock and the drugs and the deprogramming.
That poor woman.
Yeah. Funding for Cameron's experiments were clandestinely routed through the CIA shell organisations like the Society for the Investigation of Human Ecology.
What the fuck does that even mean?
It's a shell corporation. It means whatever they want it to mean, I guess.
Dirty bastards.
It later became clear that Cameron was aware of the CIA involvement and directly manipulated subjects to further his research. In at least one case, a child was forced to perform sexual acts on a government official. Cameron recorded the acts and used them as bargaining chips in blackmailing the officials for more research funding.
Dirty.
So, that's horrific. Like, they were fully deprogramming people's brains there.
Yeah.
Like, and that was another strong basis of the MKUltra thing, is this level of sort of deprogramming a person's mind.
Yeah.
Obviously, they went too far some kinds in Gail's case, but they were obviously learning how far they could push it before
it broke.
It broke altogether. Cameron died suddenly in 1967 of a heart attack while climbing a mountain, and when the Watergate scandal broke in 1973, MKUltra was officially shut down.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Nearly all the documents relating to the experiments was either classified and remains classified, or was destroyed. In the case of the Montreal experiments, we only know what we know from the victims' testimonies and lawsuits for compensation against. So, we didn't know anything about it until lawsuits and things happened.
Yeah.
And those who received compensation signed a binding non-disclosure agreement.
Right.
So either Cameron's family destroyed all his research. The CIA destroyed all their research on their side. Like, as soon as Watergate broke, the whole thing was just shut down.
Of course it was.
So
Because they didn't want anyone to know.
Nope. It's interesting that Donald Ewan Cameron was present when the Nuremberg agreements outlawed human experiments.
Right, so he knew full well what he was doing.
He did.
So, obviously, when you're pushing brains to this capacity, there are going to be some fatalities. Due to the kind of nature of everything that happened, the shadiness of it all, the true number of deaths will never, ever be known.
No.
Because there was no follow-up with test subjects, it was just like in the moment, and then once, they got the information they wanted, they sent you packing.
Yeah.
There was no proper care for them, so we'll never know how many people died. Although we don't know exactly how many people died, we do know that there are a few deaths linked directly to MKUltra. The most notable being Frank Olson. Frank Olson was a United States Army biochemist and biological weapons researcher.
Someone you'd have thought would be quite valuable, though.
Yeah, but in November of 1953, he was given LSD without any prior warning.
Oh dear.
This was probably to see whether he would tell the secrets.
Yeah.
Whether, say, if their testing methods got out to the Russians.
Yeah.
Could the Russians use this on them, and he would give up all their secrets. He committed suicide by jumping out of a window a week later. He fell 13 stories.
Yeesh.
The CIA doctor assigned to monitor him claimed to have been asleep in another bed at a New York City hotel room when it happened.
I'm sure he was.
His death was ruled a suicide due to a manic episode.
Yeah, okay then.
Now, Olson's family dispute this. They maintain that Frank Olson was murdered because, especially in the aftermath of his LSD experience, he had become a security risk who might divulge state secrets associated with the highly classified CIA projects. Of course, he would directly know everything about them, so was he a security risk?
Probably.
Did he fucking fall, or was he pushed?
I'd probably pushed.
It's worth noting that a few days earlier, he had quit his position as a biological weapons researcher due to his morals and not wanting to research assassination techniques for the CIA.
I think he was probably pushed.
I think so too.
But there you go.
In 1975, his family was awarded $750,000 settlement from the US government and formal apologies from both the president and the head of the CIA. Apologies going to get you fucking nowhere.
Did they have to sign an NDA though?
No.
No? That's interesting.
But in 2012... Frank's sons brought the CIA to court demanding to see restricted papers of their father's death.
Yeah.
This case was quickly dismissed.
Of course it was, because everything's still classified.
Although it's declassified, apparently.
No, it's not.
It's all very fucking suspect.
It is.
So another death that was directly linked to MKUltra was that of tennis player Harold Blauer. In 1952, Blauer checked himself into a psychiatric facility. CIA, as we know, like to frequent psychiatric facilities and basically places where their subjects couldn't fight back.
Yeah.
They had a classified agreement with the Psychiatric Institute that allowed them to study possible chemical warfare compounds by administering the substances to patients.
Oh, lovely.
So the Institute knew full well.
Yeah.
450 milligrams of MDA and some MDMA was given to him by like a drip.
Yeah. As
part of their study, which killed him on January 8th, 1953. His death and the experiment was covered up for 22 years.
Yep. That sounds about right.
And in 1987, a court judge awarded Blauer's estate over $700,000. He described Blauer as a guinea pig whose medical records had been altered to disguise the actual cause of his death.
Doesn't surprise me.
And those are the two most high profile deaths linked to MKUltra, but in reality there could be hundreds, thousands more.
Yeah. Now, the reason we know what we do know about MKUltra was entirely by accident, basically.
Right.
And it was because of something called the Church Committee. Now, the Church Committee was a US Senate Select Committee formed in 1975 to investigate allegations against the US intelligence services, so the CIA, the NSA, and the FBI. The allegations were that there was covert operations taking place and that there were planned assassinations of foreign leaders.
Right.
Pretty bad. They were also investigating the widespread phone tapping and mail opening of US citizens, as well as people being on the NSA watch list, so persons of interest.
So like now, pretty much?
Pretty much like now, except we're okay with it now, apparently. But there was a big...
Shady.
There was a big program of the CIA opening people's mail in post offices, reading the mail and obviously resealing it so they'd been on the wiser, phones were tapped and things like that. And the Select Committee got hold of this. The Church Committee, sorry, they got hold of this and they dug in and investigated it. So, as we all know, when the CIA shut down MKUltra in 1973, they thought they'd cover the tracks because they destroyed all the files or they heavily classified everything.
Yeah.
Except they didn't. Unknown to the director, there was some 20,000 files that were incorrectly stored in one of the wrong directories. And they were missed by the purge. So when the Church Committee were investigating the CIA, they caught wind of these files and made a report about their findings and revealed to the public for the first time what had actually been happening. And that's how we come to know about the MKUltra. If it wasn't for those 20,000 files put in the wrong place, we'd have known nothing about it. This is an actual statement made on the Senate floor in 1977 by Senator Ted Kennedy. Quote, "The Deputy Director of the CIA revealed that over 30 universities and institutions were involved in an extensive testing and experimentation program which included covert drug tests on unwitting citizens at all social levels, high and low, Native Americans and foreign. Several of these tests involved the administration of LSD to unwitting subjects in social situations."
Right.
So this whole clusterfuck ended up in a series of executive orders by following US presidents to ban all forms of human testing without explicit prior consent.
Fucking hell.
So we know nothing about it if it wasn't for these files being in the wrong place. Accidentally being in the wrong place.
And you know full well that if they knew they were there, they would be burned.
Oh, absolutely. They'd have been destroyed with the rest of them.
Yeah.
I've got a list of some high-profile alleged victims.
Right.
Okay. The Ted Kaczynski, I believe his name is, also known as the Unabomber, was said to have been subject to a voluntary psychological study alleged by some sources to have been a part of MKUltra.
Voluntary or involuntary?
Voluntary.
All right.
As a sophomore at Harvard, at Harvard, Kaczynski participated in a study described by author Alton Chase as purposefully brutalizing psychological experiment, led by then Harvard psychologist Henry Murray. In total, Kaczynski spent 200 hours as part of the study. Lawrence Teeter, who was the attorney for Sirhan, who assassinated Robert F. Kennedy, had believed that Sirhan was operating under MKUltra mind control techniques.
Right.
An American fashion model and radio host, Candy Jones, claimed to have been a victim of mind control in the 1960s.
Right.
So the Unabomber and the assassin of Robert F. Kennedy were supposedly under control of MKUltra.
Fucking hell.
Yep. There are some that still believe that MKUltra is operating under different code names to this day.
I'd believe it.
I believe that too.
So that kind of leads nicely on to my last point, the conspiracies.
Yeah.
And there aren't as many, well-documented conspiracies linked directly to MKUltra. Mind control maybe, but maybe not MKUltra. So one of the leading ones is that some celebrities are under some sort of MKUltra mind control. People believe that celebrities are brainwashed to further the CIA's agenda, and I don't know, could this all come back to the CIA wanting to start a cult?
Potentially. A cult of personality, perhaps.
Because when you think about it, right, these celebrities are on Instagram, they're selling shit, right? They get paid to advertise stuff. All these people then, well, a lot of their fans go out and buy it.
Yeah.
I remember I watched a YouTube video there a little while ago, and it was a social experiment done by someone, and they paid some kind of medium-sized influencers to promote a product with cyanide in it.
I remember hearing about this.
Yeah. And they did it.
Yeah.
And so it just kind of shows that, like, how easy it is to
manipulate people into buying stuff.
Exactly. So there's apparently proof of this. So we've seen it kind of sometimes where celebrities break down in public.
Yeah.
And this is apparently due to their minds trying to fight off their programming.
Yeah.
So a few years ago, it happened to Cardi B.
Really?
She was doing an interview. I think it was after the Oscars or something like that. She appeared to she was in the middle of a conversation answering a question, and then she just stopped for a couple of seconds.
I think I've seen the video of this, actually. It's spooky.
It's fucked up. Like, she just stares blankly for a couple of seconds and then continues on with what she was saying like nothing ever happened. Like, it's fucked up.
Yeah,
like,
I've seen that video. It's very spooky.
Like, other ones people believe is Britney's big, massive breakdown and stuff like that. Actress Roseanne Barr apparently admitted in a TV interview in 2013 that, quote, MKUltra mind control rules Hollywood. Yeah, it sounds insane, but do you think it sounds insane that a message bounces off a satellite and goes everywhere in the world at the same second? We live in that kind of technology.
Yeah.
To be fair, like...
It's not wrong.
I could kind of believe that. Like, if I was in the CIA, celebrities would be the first people I'd go to because they have so much influence over people.
Yeah.
Another kind of small yet fucked up conspiracy is that MKUltra was linked to the Sandy Hook and Columbine shootings.
Oh, nice.
This kind of links in with the guy who tried to rob the bar and stuff like that we were talking about earlier. Definitely not saying any of these guys are innocent by any means.
No, of course not.
They did fucked up shit and they deserve to be punished for it. But again, it goes back to we can't, dismiss the fact that it could have been part of MKUltra.
Yeah.
But it's thought that the shooters behind Sandy Hook and Columbine were supplied with MKUltra mind control drugs. And in true MKUltra fashion, they weren't followed up with. So they were kind of left to
do their own thing and
do their own heinous shit.
And that's what happened.
So yeah, that's kind of it. There's a lot more information out there, as we said.
There's so much more information out there, but we only have maybe an hour or so to...
And even then, like...
to cover it.
Like... We didn't want to make this another two-parter.
No.
We've just done a two-parter. So yeah, there's lots of other podcasts that do like 6-hour episodes. I think those conspiracy guys did one. Yeah, so like that's what we have. What do you think?
Is it still happening is the question. Probably.
So we had this conversation. Was it Friday while we were cooking burgers?
Yeah, probably. I think so, yeah.
What is worse? That the president didn't know what was going on, or the president knew what was going on and did nothing? Yeah. Which is worse?
I think it's worse that if he knew what was going on and did nothing.
That's what I think as well. Yeah. Or, no, I think the fact that he didn't know. CIA is meant to work very closely with the government and stuff.
It is, but I think the CIA has always been one of those organisations that kind of plays by its own rules. And a lot of this, when I was reading through a lot of this stuff, it's all classified as need-to-know information. Yeah. So the documents got put in the hands of the person who needed to know. And now, was the president on this need-to-know list? Were they thinking they were acting above the office of the president? And
what I find fucked up is kind of when the CIA kind of talk about it now, they're all very fucking cagey about it. Yeah. They kind of say stuff like, well, I wasn't there.
Yeah. Just following orders.
That's it.
Yeah. But there's no dispute. There's no dispute in the fact that it happened.
No.
And there was a lot of other really screwed up things that the CIA did.
Yeah.
Like they released dengue fever in Florida to see how it affect people. Like they'd release radiation as part of the Manhattan Project to see how it affected people. They would purposely irradiate prisoners' testicles with like 300 rads or something like that just to see what happened.
They're absolutely disgusting.
Like, at the time, and I'm sure in some way they probably still are, they were kind of a law unto themselves.
Yeah.
Like, whatever they sort of wanted to do, they did.
Yeah.
In the interests of national security, because they operate under such a level of secrecy that they're almost untouchable.
Yeah.
So...
No, it's fucked up.
It is. It's really messed up. And is it still happening today is the big question, though. Did MKUltra ever actually stop?
I think it is still going on today, but in a much shadier way.
Yeah, or did the research project MKUltra stop and the implementation of MKUltra carry on? Like, who's to say they didn't perfect the technique by the time that it got shut down?
That's true, and we won't know because all the documentation was destroyed.
It is destroyed or is still so heavily classified that we'll probably never get to see it.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing.
That's the fucked up part.
Yeah, like, is it still happening?
Yeah.
Which is the really unsettling part.
Yeah. I think we'll leave it there because, to be honest, I'm glad to be done with this topic.
Yeah, me too.
Like, it was a lot of work. It was so much work. Like, I don't even know.
Like, I'm just used to chatting shit for half an hour, like.
Yeah, well, an hour. And we actually had to do, like, a lot of work for this one, so, yeah. Right, I actually have the reviews copied down, so we can actually read them.
Well, hey.
So, do you want to read the first one?
Go on, then. Okay, this is from Fluky70. I hope I pronounced that right. The title is Recommend. Enjoyed their podcast. Nice to hear a couple not from the US. No disrespect to American podcasts. I also like that they have the odd gaff. Believe me, my friend, we have more than the odd one.
What's a gaff?
Fuck up.
Oh, fuck up?
Yeah.
Alright, yeah. You don't see what gets cut out.
Yeah, no, there's some absolute gems that end up on the cutting floor.
So, the next one comes from Scaredy Cat. The title is Love These Two. And it says, I've listened to a couple other supernatural podcasts before, but Spectral, Asylum are now the only ones I listen to.
Hey!
Hey! I love Laura and Craig's easygoing, down-to-earth style of presenting. I definitely recommend these two inmates to anyone looking for a great supernatural themed podcast.
Thank you. That's nice.
Thank you.
We like that.
We really appreciate that.
Cat Melg, I believe. Milg.
We're going to butcher all these fucking names.
Cat Mulg, the title. One of my favourite podcasts with 3 exclamation marks, so you know it's serious. I just finished your Elizabeth Bathory episode and was super impressed with your telling of a story. In the crazy time we are living, it's nice to have the story told as accurately as it could have been. Props to Science Craig and his lovely assistant Laura. Yes! You guys are only getting better in your podcast, and I love to listen to it. Hopefully one day I can come across the pond and see you live. Keep on keeping on. Right, you don't want to see us live. We are ratchet as fuck.
Yeah.
Like
I don't even know if that would be anything we would do.
No, not unless we had like a proper studio and we didn't look like hermits.
Well, no, like, do you know, like some podcasts do live shows?
Oh, really?
They do.
I didn't know that was a thing.
My Favourite Murder were here a couple of months ago.
Huh.
I think I would like to do it, but I get really nervous in front of a lot of people.
Yeah, I don't really think I'd enjoy that, to be honest.
It's different talking to a camera or talking to a mic.
Yeah.
Than being in front of however many people, like all 20 of you. So thanks.
Thank you, though.
Thanks, Kat. Like we really appreciate that, and it's good to know that like people think we're doing better because I can't even go back and listen to our old episodes.
No, I listened to them once.
Yeah.
I listened to them once in editing and I don't listen to them again.
Yeah. I like to listen to them when they've gone up to make sure Craig didn't fuck up in editing.
Basically.
Next one comes from Jen Ewing, and the title is I Love You Both.
Aww.
And she says, I love this podcast so much. You guys are so adorable. I love your chemistry together, and Laura has the most wonderful voice I think I've ever heard. You need to be a narrator for Audible books or something. Please don't ever leave us again.
Aww.
That's really nice. Thank you. To be honest, that's something I haven't thought of either. I think I would like to do it though.
Yeah, I think you'd be good at it as well.
I like talking.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cheers, love.
Yeah.
The last one.
This is from Valerie Bowles.
I think we may have read this one.
We might have read this one, but fuck it, we're reading it again.
Yeah, because I like it. It's like, it's really to the point and it really, really gets us.
So the title is Love This Podcast and These People. Just listen to the last episode. Scary to think what is going on in the world. As far as the profanity, if people don't want to hear it, then they shouldn't listen. That is the truth.
Yeah.
We are who we are, and if profanity is part of their vernacular, it definitely is for me. Vernacular's a good word, isn't it?
That is a good word.
Then so be it. If it offends you, don't listen, but also don't whine about it either. Move on to something that doesn't offend your apparent delicate nature. Cultural norms are just that, part of their culture. This is not a PC podcast, thankfully. I don't think we could be a PC podcast, even if we tried.
No.
They call it like they say it, and I say good for them. There are too many people who are worried about not offending anyone and censoring themselves to the point where they become boring. You won't find that here, and I for one commend them. They aren't hurting anyone, not preaching hate, not shouting profanity from the rooftops. Well, not right now, we're not, no. It's a podcast, you can choose to listen or don't. Love you guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Like, it's not the fact that, like, it's shady, that review is shady, because it's not. It gets us.
Yeah, it's a very accurate description.
Like, we're not here to be the most polished. We say this all the time.
No.
We're not the most polished, we're not the most well-researched, we're just two people sharing what we enjoy to talk about.
Yeah.
And this lady gets it, so thank you.
Thank you very much.
So yeah, that's it for the episode. If you want to leave us a review, we'll read it out next week. If you leave a review on iTunes, on any other place than like Great Britain, Ireland, or US, just email us a screenshot of it and we'll read it out. So you can email us at spectralasylum@gmail.com. You can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram, all at Spectral Asylum. And you can also support us on Patreon if that is something you are able to do. And you can do it from as little as €1.
Yep.
Also, if you can't do that, just sharing us with your friends, writing us a review, all that kind of stuff. That all helps us. Don't forget, we have a YouTube channel as well. Head on over there. So we just finished filming a video, which should be up in the next couple of weeks. There's another one that should be up this week as well. So, but because of my birthday, I don't know when it's going to be up.
No. So.
Always thank you to our inmates on Patreon. We have one at the moment. His name is Ray Walden. Autumn Ray.
Autumn Ray.
So, yeah, thank you everyone for listening, and we will see you in 2 weeks for the next one.
Ciao.
Ciao, Bella. Bye.